Hello and welcome to another episode of Buckets. I'm your host, Brandon Anderson, here with Joe Dellera, NBA writer, Cash That podcast host, fellow props and escalator prop degenerate like myself. Joe, welcome back onto the podcast. How you been?
Hey, it's always fun to be here. It's Friday, so we're gonna have some fun here.
Yes, it is Friday. I feel the Fridayness about me right now. It actually is Tuesday. We're recording a few days early here, but a little bit more timeless topic today. The NFL season is all but a wrap. One game left. The Pro Bowl doesn't count. And we're headed to the Super Bowl. That means finally we have some time to give a little more due attention to the NBA, but you need to know who to watch. So today on the Friday Happy Hour, we are doing the NBA League Pass rankings at the midseason. Who should you watch from today till the end of the regular season? And that can be whatever reason you want. Who's entertaining? What style do you like to watch? Who are the stars? Do you enjoy pace of play? Do you like the aesthetics? Whatever reason you like. I made my ranking 1 to 30. Joe made his ranking 1 to 30. I put it together in a composite list, and we're just going to talk through the list and get you hyped about the teams, especially at the top. We'll spend a lot more time there since, well, that's the goal. We're trying to get excited about the teams to watch. We will get to the teams not to watch, and including Joe's Knicks near
Oh,
the bottom of the list. We'll get back to that. But let's start at the top. I broke these down into tiers kind of based on how our ranking system came out. And tier one, at the very top of our list, we have three teams. These are the must watch teams. I call this the anywhere, anytime. I don't care who they're playing. I don't care if it's on a back to back. If they're on TV, you want to watch the Memphis Grizzlies, the Charlotte Hornets, and the Golden State Warriors. Those are the three teams at the top of our list. So I'll start at the top. The Grizzlies were they were second for me. They're number one for you. So Joe, why are the Grizzlies your go-to team?
they are just electric. Like Ja Morant on his own is a highlight film. And then the amount of times that I bet on Desmond Bain to make over 2.5 threes is just preposterous. So the entire time I'm watching a Grizzlies game, I've usually got an escalator prop going. I'm watching Ja Morant just literally fly around the court. And then you've got Jaren Jackson Jr. Like this team is loaded and they're just so much fun. And I feel like they're really exceeding the expectation this year, and it's a blast to watch.
Yeah, it's always fun to watch the fun young team on the rise, and the Grizzlies certainly feel like that team right now, especially as we kind of hit the doldrums of the season and we know what this team is and we know what that team is. We know the contenders and some of the teams too, for both of us, I think some of the teams that we're going to be watching a lot of deep into May and June, a little bit down our list, because that's okay. We're going to get them later. They've got a longer view in sight here. The Grizzlies may not be playing into June. They could. You never know, how they get there, but they're fun now. We just want to watch them now. We're talking
Yeah.
about games in February and March and April. And for me too, as a NBA draft aficionado and just a basketball nerd, you mentioned and Jaren Jackson, Bane. I love those guys, but I want to watch Brandon Clark. I want to watch John Conchar, and I want to see Killian Tilly and D'Anthony Melton. Like these are guys I loved coming out of the draft. And if you're on NBA draft Twitter, if there's a guy that you have as a sleeper and the Memphis Grizzlies draft him, you are affirmed because you're like, yes, I was right. I knew that guy was good because the Grizzlies drafted him and that proves it. So there's all these guys and they're hitting Xavier Tillman. Like these guys are showing up and they just have such a deep roster. And every night it's two or three different guys that show up. We didn't mention Dylan Brooks, watching him defend once he's healthy again. Steven Adams, just the mountain setting screens. So just can't think of anyone on their roster that I don't get excited watching. So it's just a fun team. They're playing faster now. So it feels like a very Memphis-y team, also different than the grit and grind team, but just a fun team that is a blast to watch. All right, the Charlotte Hornets, they were top three on both of our lists. LaMelo Ball, obviously, LaMelo is the reason why they are near the top of the list. This dude, at any moment, at any point of the game, can just pull out some preposterous pass, some sort of play that you just don't expect from anybody else. The Hornets are second in pace, so they're running up and down the court. they also are right in the edge of the playoff race. So you know every game's going to matter. And I just love the Hornets. What do you enjoy about them?
Hornets are awesome. I love watching LaMelo Ball play. I get that he doesn't always make the best basketball decision when he's on the court, but he makes the most fun decision when he's on the court. This team runs. And the other thing that I like about the Hornets is they're so bad defensively that it makes like whoever they're playing also good. So it's like even if they're playing a bad team, they become good on offense. So it's like you're watching just the game that you're going to watch is going to be high scoring. You're probably going to want to bet the over. Whether you should or not is its own question. But like you're gonna naturally want to bet the over because of the way that they play. And you know you've got Oubre, you've got Miles. Like they can throw down some jams. Like they're awesome. So this is like a really fun team. I don't know how like good they actually are, but they're definitely a lot of fun to watch. So I love LaMelo Ball and I love this team.
Yeah, this is not a goodness rankings. This is a fun rankings, and that's why
Yeah,
the Hornets are the Hornets have to be near the top of the list in a fun rankings. And like you said, we have a bunch of teams coming up, teams that are fast, teams that score a lot and don't defend. Those are just fun games. Look, we like points. We like to see some scoring in these games.
yeah.
Again, they've got some fun guys deeper on the roster. I wish we're getting some more Book Night. Maybe we'll get a little more of him as the
I
season goes
love some
on.
boot night.
I'd
Yeah,
love to see a little more Kai Jones or JT Thor. I don't think it's going to happen this year because these games matter for the playoffs and these are young guys who aren't ready for the moment, but just a lot of fun players. You know, at any moment, LaMelo can make that crazy pass that like 99.9% of humans have never even imagined, and he just goes for it. You know,
yeah.
Miles can just yam on someone, and it's the highlight play on SportsCenter that night. It's a great broadcast team, just a really fun product. Happy for Charlotte. You love the uniforms, the teal and the purple brings me back to my childhood. It's just all good to me.
And I'm like low key a Gordon Hayward stan. It's like a really weird position of mine. Like he's not really that exciting to watch at all, but I just think he makes his teammates better. So like I just I've always liked him. So it's like I'm like, all right, well, I get to watch you here, I guess.
I can't follow you down the Gordon Hayward stand path, but I'm happy for you. I'm happy you got Gordon. I had the Warriors top on my list. You had them fifth, so they come in third here. Look, you know what the Warriors are. I'm just excited. We got Clay finally back. Clay is back and looking good. Draymond, I hope will be back soon. Steph is in a slump, but still is Steph. You get the Warriors home crowd. You get Steph hitting threes. You never know when he's going to go off. You never know also how many more times we get to watch these guys. Look, we just missed Clay for 2 entire seasons, and Dre is out right now, and we don't know how long Steph will be Steph. Maybe he's not a slump. Maybe this is just age and things taking a toll on him. I just want to watch the Warriors' greatness while I can. We're deprived of it for a couple of seasons, and I love the bench guys. They brought in the right guys this year. Gary Payton, I love watching him defend. Iguodala, it's right having him back on the roster. I love how Otto Porter fits on this team and Nemanja Bjelica. We could probably see a little bit more of those young guys. Probably get some Wiseman and some Kuminga down the stretch. I just want to watch the Warriors play basketball. So Grizzlies, Hornets, Warriors, anytime, any place for me.
Yeah, the Warriors are just electric, and it's really nice this year because I have money on them. Every other year, their odds have been like prohibitive, and I've just not had money on them. Just either the past couple of years they've been like not as good, and then like before then I never had money on them. So now getting to watch this team with like a fat futures at like 8-1, this is awesome. Like I'm like this team can steamroll these guys. So they're a blast. I hope Steph kind of gets it back. It looks like he got his his 3 times a year dose of the Houston Rockets on Monday night. So I think that maybe that'll kickstart him again. I think he drained like 11 threes or something like that. So he balled out there.
Yeah. I want to give a shout to Draymond too. Obviously, you can't watch him right now, but hopefully he's back soon. And I just want to watch Draymond defend. Like, if you want to just be a nerd about basketball, take a night and forget watching Steph and all the off-ball stuff. That's its own great thing too. Just watch Draymond defend on every play. He's literally defending 3, 4, or 5 guys on every play and just covering so much ground. It's generational. It's one of a kind. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And so you got that on both ends of the court in the Warriors. And I know we've seen it now for half a decade, but we haven't seen it the last couple of years. I want to watch it. So they're top of my list. Next tier 2, called it It's Always a Good Time. We've got the Phoenix Suns at number 4, the Cavs, the Cleveland Cavaliers at number 5. We got to talk about them in a second. Denver Nuggets 6, Brooklyn Nets 7, and the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks at 8. So let's start with the Cavs here, because if you had told me that we'd do a midseason League Pass rankings and like 3 months ago, and that the Cavs were going to be a top 5 team for us, I would have thought that you were crazy. Like, did we contract half of the league? What happened? And here we are. I thought I was high on the Cavs. I had them in my top 10. You got them up at number 4. What do you love about the Cavs?
They are like just awesome to watch, I think, because I think the thing that I like about them is they're playing like with just absolutely no fear. They are not afraid of anybody. And Darius Garland has taken a significant step forward. I think that he could possibly make the Eastern Conference All-Star team. I don't think it's like a total stretch. And Jared Allen is just having an incredible year too. And I think he should definitely make the All-Star team. But then, you've got a rookie in Evan Mobley. Okoro's looking awesome. Kevin Love looks like he just like turned back the clock and he's in like a Just for Men like commercial with like a little bit of his grays. But like the dude is just banging threes. And like they're doing this without Sexton. They're doing it without Rubio. Like they are, even though they're playing a little slow, their offense just like looks good. And I think that they're kind of like a fun watch just because like you weren't expecting it. And then the other thing is you can still get in on them. Like their markets are still like pretty juicy. You can get them to win even the division at 3-1 right now. So there's some definite like angles with the Cavaliers. I think they're like 50-1 to win the conference and, like almost like 100-1 still to win the title because people don't believe in them. But sometimes that's all you need is just a little bit of an option there. So I think they're fun though, just on their own besides the futures market.
Yeah, and it's a team that you need to see too, because unlike the other teams in this group, the Suns, the Nets, the Bucks, like we know what those teams are. They're still fun to watch, but you might be listening to this. You never even heard you never even seen the Cavs play a game this year.
Yeah,
The Cavs are not on national TV. They got their like token 2 games for the year, and it's probably like an NBA TV like 2 o'clock tip off on a weekend game or something.
Yeah.
And they're just they're not a team that we expected to be this good or to be this watchable, but the young guys are fun. Evan Mobley has been an absolute stud. I expected greatness from him, but not this soon. And
crazy.
so to be this good on both ends, to watch this team defensively, Mobley and Allen in the paint. I love Isaac Okoro. He's starting to come into his own a little bit more. It's also too, it's a very unique team. It's a team unlike anyone else on this list. They've got starting 3 7-footers, which I was aghast at on opening night. I was like, "What are you doing? Well, Lowry Markkanen can't start at the 3. Like, what's happening here?" And they're making it work. They're defending. They're rebounding. The negative for me is it's a very slow paced team, which like that's what this team is. You defend hard, you slow things down, and you hope you get enough offense. So it's kind of the opposite of the Hornets in that respect, but definitely a team you've got to see. It's just a fun team and this season's breakout team. And you're right, they're good. They're legitimately very good. They lead the East, I believe, right now in net rating and in SRS.
Yeah.
And they are in the race up against anyone, especially as open as the East is with some of those injuries.
Yeah, I think that they're a blast to watch. They're fourth in adjusted net and second in adjusted defensive rating. So like if you like defense, this is absolutely a team to watch. So like if you're a fellow nerd, check them out.
Yeah. Hopefully if you're a nerd, hopefully you're on listening to this podcast. This is the podcast for you. So this is where I got to push back on the Denver Nuggets. We've got the Denver Nuggets coming in at 6th overall. I actually opened with the Nuggets skin on my rankings. I dropped them a little bit down to 4th. This is just one guy, and it's Nikola Jokic. And all I need is one guy. I just need Nikola at the Y with whoever he pulled out of the stands to play for the Nuggets that night. You're in at guard. You're in at forward. Your name's Green. We're playing you 30 minutes a night. It doesn't matter. Jokic is obliterating teams. He's obliterating advanced metrics. If you look at like the advanced numbers, all the PER and BPM and VORP and everything, he's having a better season right now than any season of LeBron James's career, like than any season of anyone's career. It's absurd. He can do anything passing. He's dominating the glass. He's scoring and doing it efficiently with little help. And on top of it, Jamal Murray finally should be back soon. Murray is fun, and I want to see what the Nuggets look like in the second half. They're a team I'm going to be betting to push up the standings. I think they're a good bet, possibly to catch the Jazz in the division. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at Nuggets futures. They're a team that is fun and that I want to see play. Maybe we get a little Michael Porter Jr. at some point, but I just want to watch the Nuggets play. Why do you have the Nuggets outside of your top 10, Joe?
I think I kind of forgot that we were doing this, like in terms of like prospectively, like who am I trying to watch coming up? Because part of the thing is like when you watch them, like I get that we have, like the reigning MVP, but it's that's all I'm watching, and it's like sometimes it's frustrating watching them just because you're like, get this guy some help. So that was almost why I had them lower. But if Murray comes back, Michael Porter Jr. comes back towards the end of the season, just so everybody knows that the disable, or the DPE exception, it doesn't rule out Michael Porter from coming back. So they could be excellent, especially if they're really trying to win later in the season. I could move them up a couple spots, I think, but I do think that right now it's tough because they just don't have like the same help. So it's really more just like I'm watching Jokic here be a superstar, and that's why I'm watching. But if you're rooting for them, it's definitely a tougher spot, even though they've been hot of late.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all that. So you want to catch some Nuggets coming up. Let's hope Jamal Murray gets back on the court soon. I think probably sometime not too long after the All-Star break, hopefully.
Yeah, I
Other
saw him
teams in
doing some
this,
one-on-one.
yeah, for sure. So we got the Suns, the Nets, and the Bucks in this tier. I don't think we need to go too long on any of those teams because we know what they are. If you're listening to an NBA podcast, you know the Suns, the Nets, and the Bucks. You don't really know which Nets are going to get any given night. Will they get minus points because Kevin Durant is going to be out? I think probably until at least March, I'd guess. Kyrie Irving, we only get for half of the games, if that. James Harden, you can argue whether he's actually fun to watch or should penalize them down the rankings, but they're the title favorites. They've stayed there all year. You have to watch the Nets. We enjoy, Joe and I enjoy our Patty Mills. We've got a lot of escalator props on him. So
Escalated.
a lot of Nets to watch. The Bucks, they're the champs. It's Giannis. You always got to enjoy watching Giannis. Drew Holiday is a joy to watch. Bobby Portis. You never know when they're going to rest. And then the Suns are just great. The Suns were fourth on our list. We didn't say much about them, but you just know the Suns are. They're great modern basketball. They're pleasing style to watch. They're versatile, so you're going to get a little different look each night. Chris Paul, we don't know how long we're going to get him. They defend. Booker can always go off. What do you got on Suns, Nets, or Bucks? Is there anything else that you might, if you've not been watching closely for a few months, what do we need to know about any of those teams?
The one thing about the Bucks is that they haven't really been super healthy all season, but I am concerned a little bit just in terms of watching them because I don't think they really care at all about the regular season. Like the more that I've watched them like all play together, like when Giannis is playing by himself, it's like, I'm going to like Superman this and like, I'm going to win this game. Like when like they have the three of them, it's almost like, they're just like, all right, yeah, like we got it. Like we could win whenever we want. So I'm a little concerned about that, but the Suns, fun fact, since the Raptor incident with Devin Booker, I think he's averaging like 32 points a game. So they have some like interesting they just have some interesting like little tidbits about them, and they're just so good that like they don't blow teams out, and that's kind of one of the things that I like about watching their games. Like they always feel like tight, and if it's at the end of the game, like if it's the fourth quarter and the Suns are losing, or they're only like, or they're kind of tied or something like that, just bet on them. They're gonna win the game. Like it's insane. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, the
So
clutch rating for Chris Paul, it always has been high throughout his career, but the clutch rating for the Suns team is just absurd.
yeah,
So it's great live spot to go for them. Look, we're gonna see plenty of Suns, Nets, and Bucks deep into the playoffs. So let's keep moving. Tier 3. This is numbers 9 through 13 now. So still a lot of fun, but some caveats. So here's the list from 9 to 13. Dallas Mavericks, the Timberwolves, the Heat, the Lakers, and the Bulls. So on this part of the list is where we start to get a little bit, we're disagreeing a little bit on some of these. So
yeah,
I will start with the Mavericks here because the Mavericks, when I've done this league pass ranking sort of thing for a long time, basically since Luca came into the league, have been top three. Like they're just go to. I want to watch Luca play. Is Luca still fun? Like, do we still want to watch Luca play? It doesn't feel joyous to watch the Mavericks play. I'm the one that had them ranked higher, and I kept kind of slowly sliding them down. Is this team fun?
I don't really think so. Like their offense is just boring. Like it feels repetitive. I think they were like this is nothing. This isn't really about Luca, but I think that they were almost like more fun when Jalen Brunson was just manning the point, like because they didn't have a guy that they could just default to and just do the whole thing where it's like the Kobe Bryant offense where just one person moves and then that's it. Like that would like that's what it seems like when I watch the Mavericks now. It's just like they're all just waiting for Luca to do something. And it's boring. Like, like he's not like he hasn't been the most efficient this year. They play slow and then, they just I don't know, like they haven't been, I don't think they've been like the most fun watch, but then at the same time, Luca does some stuff that you could just never see anybody else do either. So that's kind of my caveat with the Mavs.
Yeah, I agree, and it's just it's not as fun as it should be. Kristaps Porzingis has been good this year, but isn't really fun. I don't know how to place that. Then you nailed it, and it sort of feels too like this is not the best version of Luca that we're going to get. We've
No.
seen better, and we're going to see better, and so it just feels like it's like when you're watching one of your favorite television shows, and sometimes there's a writer's strike, and it's not the best season. You're gonna keep watching, like you're gonna still see what's happening. But every now and then you're watching Friday Night Lights and they just decide to have one of the main characters murder someone else. And it's just what happens. You just gotta
Yeah.
let it go and you keep watching and the next season will be better. I think that's kind of where we're at on the Mavericks.
Yeah.
So the Lakers come in 12th on our list. So this is I think maybe our biggest disagreement on here. I have the Lakers
Oh,
fifth, you have them 17th. So here's my case for top five. I'm a hater. I just want to hate and I want to hate watch and I want to watch the absolute train wreck and I can't look away. I don't know how bad it's going to be for Russell Westbrook any given
Westbrook.
night. Yeah, Westbrook is about right. I guess that was maybe a Freudian slip. I I don't know what's going to happen. Like when Melo is going to take 25 shots. When is Rondo going to do a thing? I do want to watch Malik Monk. He can get hot. And of course, I need to see LeBron. We don't know how many more times we're going to get to watch him. He's been awesome this year. And I can appreciate LeBron's greatness and still be a LeBron hater and get to enjoy both of those any given night. We're either going to get one or the other, or maybe both. I just have to watch like the Lakers are not a fun watch necessarily because it's turgid and they don't really mesh together. The other thing too is they're in the playoff race. The games matter here. And also they're probably going to turn over the roster. So we're going to see LeBron kind of feeling it out with these new players, whoever they are. I can't look away. I don't know that it's beautiful, but I have to watch the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes down to LeBron. Like, if LeBron's not playing, I don't really have an interest in watching them play. Like, I just don't. I'm a LeBron maximist, if that makes sense. Like, I think LeBron's like the best. I love LeBron, so like I'll watch him play whenever possible. But at the same time, like that team is just brutal because I watch the game and I'm just like, can you, Anthony Davis, can you just like not fall? Can you play the five? Can you do like something? Like, and then it's like all of a sudden, like it's like it all of a sudden hits like a bottom, and then Anthony Davis like balls out and drops like 40 because he just got hot from like long mid-range as an inefficient jump shooter. But like that's what the Lakers seem to be right now, and like that's not fun. So like if LeBron's gonna play, I'll watch them. But like right now, like I don't know how long we don't know how long LeBron's going to be out for. Like, I have no interest in watching them in like the near future if LeBron's not playing.
Yeah, that's fair. My ranking was before the LeBron news broke on Tuesday morning, so we don't know how long he'll be out. Hopefully, he'll be back soon. They're going to fall to the playoff race if they lose him for too much longer. So,
Yeah.
for better or worse, he's going to have to play. Anthony Davis is back at least until he gets another hangnail. So, we're gonna watch these guys play. I realize the other teams on this tier for us are the Timberwolves, the Heat, and the Bulls. So basically, this is just the Jimmy Butler tier. Like we
Yeah.
almost could have thrown the Sixers in there too, and it's just the whole Jimmy Butler mix. So you had the Timberwolves and the Bulls higher than me, which is ironic because those are reportedly my two favorite teams. I think I was just trying to be conservative with, you know, eh, we both rated our favorite teams lower perhaps than just a normal fan would, because there's the misery of watching your team and it not coming through. I do think you have to move the Bulls down a little bit from what they were earlier in the season. Early in the year, it was new, it was fun, it was working, but they're not as fun without Lonzo and Caruso out there, and that's going to be another month at least for those guys.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been as pretty. So they're a team that I think their value, they move up this ranking later in the year, but they're kind of middle of the pack for now. The Heat are just good. You know, the Heat are going to show up every night. They're always going to try. The Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards is fun. I don't know if Karl Anthony Towns is fun. I'm not sure he's as much fun as he's supposed to be. They are, though, one of those teams where you're going to play at pace. You're going to get the playoff push. You get, lots of offense, and probably from both teams. So I get it. The Timberwolves are a fun team. I certainly enjoy them. I guess didn't make the sale very well for them.
Yeah, I like the Timberwolves. I think that Anthony Edwards is just like he's a walking bucket, and he's also just he's like his personality's hilarious. Like just the things that he says in like his post game interviews. Like just like the phrasing and everything. I like watching them. I think that they're fun. I think that they're like that team that could make the next step soon. Like I'm wondering if they're like last year's Grizzlies kind of. Maybe they can take the step like next season. So I'm definitely curious to like watch them and see like maybe what piece do they need or what makes this team better, because like they feel like if you look at that roster, you have Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, you have the Pest and Pat Beverly, Vanderbilt, like they've got a lot of players. So I'm curious, I'm like, what are they like? I don't know what exactly they're missing there, but I think they're like they can be fun.
Yeah, they can be. I think that's about right. That we're about at that stage of the rankings, that they can be fun stage. Let's keep it moving because we just got a few minutes to wrap up here. Our next group, 14, 15, 16, is Raptors, Celtics, 76ers. It feels like the very grinded out part of the East.
Yeah.
I love the Raptors personally. That's a very nerdy ranking for both of us, just because Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, it's a basketball experiment. We're watching it in real time. And some nights it is rough and it is not fun to watch, and it is a ugly product, not a lot of offense. Some nights it really looks good. So you don't really know what you're going to get. But again, it's unique. You're going to get something different. So I like the differentness about them. The Celtics and Sixers, I don't know. They're not different. They're the thing that we know. I personally don't enjoy watching Joel Embiid play basketball. I don't enjoy the antics, and I don't enjoy watching him dunk 48 points on like some terrible backup center that's playing for the Rockets that night or whoever it is. Like I don't need that in my life. I don't enjoy the Joel Embiid experience. I do love the Matisse Thybulle experience.
I'm
So
obsessed with
I
him.
want to watch Matisse defend, but I'm not excited to watch Celtics and Sixers play that much.
No, I agree. Like the Sixers, I think are more. I thought they were more exciting. Like when they had Simmons. Like I just felt like the team was like obviously better. I don't know. I felt like they were like I liked to watch them. I thought they were like an interesting team because they were so like physically imposing. And then the Celtics are just like they're boring. Like if Tatum or Brown doesn't score 50 points, they lose, and if one of them does, then they probably hate each other. So like it just is like they're not fun. I'm out on them. But they could like they have that ceiling, and it's just that I feel like it's almost like that's why we had them where we have them.
Yeah, they're in about the right spot, just right there, stuck in the middle. It's not a pretty offense. It's just
No.
like the Jays taking turns, and sometimes they get hot. But it is what it is. Next tier, 17 to 21. I call this the surprisingly fun tier, with the exception of one team in this list that just happens to be in here. See if you can pick them out. So we got the Atlanta Hawks, the Houston Rockets, the San Antonio Spurs, the Utah Jazz, and the Sacramento Kings. So the Jazz are the outlier. The Jazz are not fun. They're not surprising. They're not anything. Especially, I love watching Joe Ingles play. I don't miss Joe. I want to see him back out there healthy. I don't want to watch the Jazz. I'm going to see them for a series or two in the playoffs. They kind of fit into that Sixers Celtics group, but they're not even that watchable. I'd be fine pushing them down the list. why are the Jazz so low for us when they're such a good team still?
I think that they could have been further down, like you said. I think I just like I was like, they're too good. Like I feel like I was insulting them to put
Yeah,
them
I
like
did
any
too.
lower. Like so like I don't really have a huge interest in watching them. I really I'm a big Tyrese Halliburton fan. You've known that. Like I've been talking about him since like really since he was a rookie. And I was a Tyrese Halliburton rookie of the year proponent. But I really like the Kings. I think they play fast. Their defense isn't very good. And then like the Spurs, if you aren't betting DeJounte Murray triple double like on almost a nightly basis, I think it actually is plus EV to bet on him to get a triple double every game. I think he's at like 10 or something this year, and his odds range between like 350 to like 6-1. So and it didn't start that low at the beginning of the season. So I think that the Spurs are like interesting. They're fun. They play like, at a decent rate. And they move the ball. Like they play a nice, like the offense is aesthetically pleasing anyway.
Yeah, I'm with you. The Spurs were a team that I thought was going to be like my sleeper. I was ready to try to hype up the Spurs, and because normally, again, I've done this rankings for a few years in a row. The Spurs consistently are like 28th or
Yeah.
26th or somewhere down. We know what they are. It's kind of boring. This Spurs team is not boring. They're top five in assist rate. They're top five in pace. They take a ton of twos. So again, it's something a little different. Pop gonna pop. DeJounte is awesome and a prop god and so much fun. I like watching Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson,
Yep.
Derek White. Just any given night, one of those guys is going to pop and show up a little bit. So, yeah, the Spurs are a really fun team. They're in the playoff mix. They're going to be trying hard every night. With Pop, they're always going to show up. Uh, so, yeah, they're a fun team. They maybe could even gone up a little ways. I
Yeah.
think I penalized their rankings here. You had them at 16th, and I thought I had them up high at 23rd, but I think we talked ourselves in a little higher.
Yeah.
I love at the end of the season, which is kind of what we're coming to. I like watching the young guys. So some of these rankings toward the end are for me skewing toward I want to watch the Rockets because I want to watch Jalen Green. I want to
Yeah.
watch Shangoon. I want to watch Kevin Porter Jr. It's not good. It's not good basketball. Like I'm not
No.
getting a good product, but I just want to watch these guys develop. And if it's down to some of these other teams, I just want to watch some of these youngsters down there. So there's a lot of young guys to watch develop. Our last two tiers, there's one tier we'll wait on. The next tier, 22 to 29, I labeled it hope they're playing someone watchable. So
Yeah.
you're really not tuning in just for these teams, but here's the list: Pistons, Wizards, Magic, Pelicans, Clippers, Blazers, Pacers, Thunder. So we're not a lot of playoff teams here. Maybe a play in and out sort of team. Maybe you get sneak in and then get lambasted in the first round. The Magic are a team I had much higher than you. Same logic as the Rockets. I want to see Jalen Suggs. I want to see Franz Wagner. Mo Bamba is unique. I want to see Cole Anthony do stuff. The Pelicans are just Zion or bust. Like if Zion doesn't return, then bury the Pelicans. I don't care. I don't need to see them anymore. I gave them the benefit of the doubt of like, well, if Zion plays, I want to watch them. If he doesn't, I didn't really miss too much on the teams below them, anyways. The one team on this list that I got to get on your case about, I had the Washington Wizards dead last in my rankings. You had them at 18th. This is one of our biggest disagreements. Give me a reason to watch the Wizards.
Dude, this is literally just the Kuzma revenge tour, and I'm so here for it. The guy is just bawling out. Like whenever Beal doesn't play, he goes bonkers, and I just love it because he's at like the ultimate level of petty too. Like right now, he's just he's tweeting at LeBron. He's just like, yeah, like I'm great. Like he's wearing sweaters that don't make any sense. I'm really here. Like it's basically like, yeah, like sure, like the Wizards are in 23rd or like on our list or 24th on our list, but I just am here for like the Kuzma pettiness. And then now like there's just like a cycle of like I don't know what's going on with this team. Like there's like the Spencer Dinwiddie report about how just nobody wants him there. You don't know if Beal's going to be out of there. So like I feel like there's a lot of like different storylines, at least with the Wizards, that like keeps it engaging. And they, like I like watch. I don't hate watching them, but I like watching when Kuzma just is going crazy. Just because I think that he's kind of fun. I think he got like raked over the coals for so long that like he deserves this, like in a way. Like he was always like the fall guy. So like it's kind of interesting to see how he's, you know, developed this year as a player. So like I'm interested in them. And like they have a roster full of players that like nobody's like really good besides maybe Beal, but like, well, obviously Beal, but like there's nobody that's that bad. So it's like you watch them and it's like, you know, like you're going to see a competitive game anyway. So that's kind of where I was coming from there.
All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you credit for talking me out of Wizards at number 30. I'm going to bump them up to number 29 because the last team on our list, if you've been counting, playing at home, we've gone through 29 teams. Number 30 on our list, no, sir, I will not. The tier down at the bottom are the New York Knickerbockers. I had them at 29. You talked me into it. I'm bumping them down. They're 30. They're 30th for you. You, sir, are a Knicks fan. Why are the Knicks so awful to watch?
Dude, this has just been like the ultimate year of pain. Like I understand, I think I managed my expectations like decently well, but like after last season, you know, like I was like, all right, last season was crazy. Last season they were dynamite to watch. Like they were must-watch TV. Like I was watching that over like literally everything. Now I'm like, this just hurts me. Like this is like a painful experience. Like I'm a masochist and this is what I do. Like I come home from work, I, you know, like I make like, you know, I get a workout in, got to get the pump in. And then like, as I'm like coming down from the pre-workout, I turn on the New York Knicks and talk about a buzzkill just every time. I'm like, they play slow. They don't know what they're doing. Like it's the worst. Like they're playing Alec Burks at the point guard position when you have like these other guys. Like I know that Derrick Rose is hurt, but like just like play the guys, like play the kids, like play like let me see some Quentin Grimes, let me see some Emmanuel Quickly, let me see Obi Toppin. Like I want to see these guys, and then like put Cam Reddish in like when you're up 20 points in the fourth quarter with 10 minutes to go. Like do something. Like, you know, so it's just I'm watching like the same thing over and over and over again, and it's just like a painful experience because like as much as I love RJ, I feel like he like needs to just be like told like, all right, like you can be the primary option on offense. And instead we have like Randall playing ISO ball, like I don't even know what he's doing. And like I respect him. I think I like Randall, but he's not a number one offensive option. Like I think that he could be a really good number two option, but like I don't think that he's like capable of being a number one option. And like when you don't have a point guard on like the entire team, like it's impossible. Like it's the worst. Like you have these other teams, like they have a point guard at every position. Like their centers are point guards. Like the Knicks, they don't even have like they barely have somebody that can dribble with their left hand right now, except for Barrett, and he's a lefty. So it's like this is just it's painful. Like this one hurts me, and like I love the Knicks, but this hurts.
You know, there is a point guard in a very big market right now that could use a new home. So is there a spot for Russell Westbrook on the Knicks? He could turn things around. I'm just kidding. You said everything there's to say. There's a low blow. I'm sorry. So yeah, the Knicks, you've said all there is to say. I don't need to watch Thibodeau teams anymore. As a Wolves and Bulls fan, I've had more than my fair share of that. This is the worst of the experiences. They're dead last in pace. They can't play offense. At least Derrick Rose could detonate. We still have Kemba. You know, he's probably got like 2 more MSG games.
Oh, he's going to drop 50. Yeah. I'll go crazy.
He's going to get a 50 somewhere, but Bing Bong is forever ago at this point. Like that, the opening week, it was fun and it's gone. It's all gone. Like, don't watch
being bust right now is what this is. Like this hurts.
All right, well, I think that's a good spot for us to wrap this up. So that is going to wrap it up for our midseason League Pass rankings here at Buckets. For Joe Dellera, I'm Brandon Anderson. We'll see you next week at Buckets for the Fantasy Look Ahead with Titus and Koffler, Big Picture with myself, Matt, and Raheem, the workshop episodes. Joe will be back for those. Everything else, let's watch some basketball. Enjoy your weekend, and let's get buckets.